The scene opens on a dark, empty road. The night is quiet, but the silence is broken by the soft hum of the girl's car engine, sputtering out. She's alone. It's late at night, and the city feels miles away. Her headlights shine on the deserted road, and the empty streets stretch endlessly in front of her. She tries to restart the car, but it won't budge. Emotion. The girl's breath quickens. Her hands grip the steering wheel tightly. She checks her phone. No signal. Her heart races as she looks around, feeling more and more isolated. She's stranded in the middle of nowhere. No one's around, and she doesn't know what to do. Fear creeps in as she considers her options. Should she try walking? Should she stay in the car and wait for help? But there's no one to call. She feels a knot in her stomach, her vulnerability sinking in. Suddenly, a noise breaks the silence. A footstep. She turns, but there's no one in sight. She freezes, her pulse quickening, her eyes darting around, trying to spot any movement in the dark. She had no idea that the person who would save her tonight wasn't who she thought he would be. The girl's breath is shallow as she strains her eyes into the darkness, trying to find the source of the noise. Suddenly, from the shadows, a figure steps forward. A black man appears out of nowhere. His silhouette cuts through the dim light from her car headlights. His clothes are simple, but his stance is confident. He doesn't look lost or afraid. He looks like someone who knows exactly what he's doing. His steps are steady as he approaches her car. She takes a quick step back, her heart racing as she watches him approach. Her mind starts to race with thoughts. Who is he? What does he want? She can't help the wave of hesitation that rises within her. He stops in front of her, offering a calm smile, his eyes steady but not threatening. "Hey, looks like you've got a problem here. Can I help you with something?" Her eyes narrow, assessing him quickly. He doesn't seem dangerous, but she's not sure. Her mind flashes to stories she's heard, her own past experiences, and her fear starts to build. Can she trust him? Should she just ask him to leave and figure this out on her own? Her body language betrays her hesitation. She keeps her distance, gripping the car door handle as though she might close it at any moment. Her gaze flickers between him and the road behind her, as if ready to make a quick decision. Her thoughts are conflicting. Her body says, "Stay away." But there's something about him that feels different, something she can't place. I don't know. I'm fine. I'll be okay." But the man remains steady, not forcing the issue. His presence doesn't change. He waits patiently, not pushing her, giving her the space she needs, but it's clear he won't leave until he knows she's okay. The black man takes a step closer, his gaze still steady. But now there's a touch of compassion in his eyes. He can see her nerves, the tension in her body language, and he knows she's unsure. He looks down at her car with a knowledgeable gaze, then turns back to her with a gentle smile. "Let me take a look." It's no trouble at all. He doesn't wait for her to answer, just moves with the confidence of someone who's done this before. The girl, still unsure but feeling a bit less scared, hesitates for a moment before she steps back to give him space. He opens the hood of her car and begins inspecting it. His hands move quickly, but with care he doesn't rush. As he works, he speaks to her in a soft, almost soothing tone. "Looks like your battery's dead. That's an easy fix. I've got jumper cables in my car. You're lucky I was passing by." The girl watches him for a moment, surprised. She expected him to be like everyone else, quick to demand or push for something in return. But here he is, helping without a second thought. His actions show no urgency, no demand for recognition. He simply fixes the problem without asking anything from her. As he connects the cables, she can't help but notice how calm and collected he is. His steady hands, his focus on the task at hand, everything about him feels grounded, kind, and reliable. As the engine sputters to life, she can feel her fear start to dissipate. The car roars back to life, and a sense of relief floods through her. "There you go. You're good to go now. But make sure you get that checked soon. Might not be the last time." He doesn't ask for anything in return, just closes the hood, wipes his hands on his pants, and steps back. Thank you. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't come by." She's still a little shaken, but there's a deep sense of gratitude in her voice. The man's kindness, his selflessness, totally catches her off guard. She's amazed by how calm he is in such a tense situation. The girl is sitting in the driver's seat, her hands still trembling slightly from the earlier fear. As the car's engine hums back to life, she lets out a deep breath, relieved but still processing everything that just happened. She turns to look at the black man, who is now standing a few steps away, quietly observing her. There's no rush, no demand for anything in return, just a calm silence. I really appreciate you helping me. I don't know what I would have done without you." Her voice is filled with genuine gratitude, but there's still a lingering uncertainty in her mind. Who is he really? Why did he stop for her? He's just a random stranger, right? She glances down at her phone as if checking for something, anything that would explain the strange turn of events. But there's nothing. No calls, no texts, just a reminder that she's still alone, except for him. The black man stands there for a moment, his hands still relaxed at his sides, watching her closely. She quickly opens her door, as though ready to leave. "No problem. Take care of yourself. I hope you make it home safe." There's something in his eyes that she can't quite place. He doesn't try to ask for anything in return, doesn't seem interested in her personal life. He's just helping. Why would he stop for me, though? Just a random guy. Her mind races, replaying everything in her head. She checks him out one more time, trying to figure him out. There's something different about him. But what? She can't pinpoint it. She hesitates for a brief moment, eyes darting between him and the road. Should she ask him something? Should she say more? Her gut instinct says he's not dangerous, but her mind keeps questioning his intentions. Maybe it's just a coincidence, or maybe he's just a nice guy. But there's still that feeling of unease, that whisper in the back of her mind. There's more to him than meets the eye. She gives a quick, awkward wave, and before she can stop herself, she drives off. The moment of tension lingers as the car pulls away from him, her gaze in the rearview mirror, searching for any final sign of who he really is. It's a few days later, and the girl is back at her apartment, trying to shake off the strange encounter. The memory of the black man lingers in her mind, his calm demeanor, his kindness. But she still doesn't understand why he helped her. She's scrolling through her phone, scrolling past news updates, when something catches her eye. A photo of a man in a suit, surrounded by people at an event. The caption reads, "Local philanthropist donates $2 million to homeless shelter." Her eyes widen. She stops scrolling, staring at the photo. In the image, there he is, the black man. The same one who helped her. The man who had fixed her car so casually, with no expectation of anything in return. Wait, is that him? Her fingers tremble as she zooms in on the photo. The man's face is unmistakable, his smile, his eyes, the confidence that was so familiar. But this man in the picture isn't just any random guy. He's someone important, someone with a background she never would have guessed. She clicks on the article, reading quickly. It turns out that the man she encountered is a well-known philanthropist. He has dedicated his life to supporting communities, advocating for social justice, and doing work that changes lives. He's been featured in multiple news stories, yet somehow she never noticed him until that night. No way. It was him. But why didn't he tell me? Why didn't he say anything? Her mind starts to spin as she tries to process the information. She never imagined that the man who had helped her, the one who had seemed like a simple stranger, was actually someone who could have been a celebrity in her eyes. It's as if everything about him, from his calmness to his kindness, suddenly takes on a new meaning. But what hits her hardest is the reason behind it. He didn't help her for attention, for credit, or for anything other than genuine kindness. He didn't need to prove anything to anyone. His identity, His wealth, his status, didn't matter to him in that moment. He just helped her because that's who he is. I misjudged him. I thought he was just some random guy, but he's not. He's so much more than that. Her emotions shift dramatically. She feels a deep sense of embarrassment and regret for her initial hesitation, for the doubts she had. She begins to realize how often her prejudices and assumptions shape her perceptions of people, and how easily she allowed those thoughts to cloud her judgment. As the weight of the revelation settles in, she starts to rethink everything, her assumptions, her fears, and the way she saw him at first. In that moment, she learns something powerful. Not everything is as it seems, and the world is full of people whose true worth goes beyond what meets the eye. It's late at night, and the girl is sitting in her room, the lights dimmed. Her phone lies on the table beside her, the news article still open on the screen. The image of the black man, surrounded by people, smiling as he donates to a cause, keeps replaying in her mind. She feels a weight in her chest, an uncomfortable twist in her stomach. She can't help but replay the events in her head, how she had hesitated to trust him, how she had judged him based on nothing more than his appearance. I didn't even give him a chance. I thought he was just some random guy, someone I couldn't trust just because of the way he looked. Her thoughts are clouded with guilt. How many times in her life had she let prejudices affect her decisions? How many times had she looked at someone and immediately judged them based on their race, background, or appearance? She sits there staring at the floor as a sense of shame washes over her. Her fingers brush over the phone screen, rereading the article. She can't believe she'd been so quick to dismiss him, so quick to make assumptions based on nothing but her own fears and biases. Why did I think like that? Why couldn't I just see him for who he really was? Why did I assume the worst? As the guilt settles in, she feels a deep sense of disappointment in herself. The man had shown her nothing but kindness, nothing but generosity, and yet she had been ready to drive away, unsure, thinking he was just another stranger. But now, after learning about his true identity, the shift begins. She knows she can't go back to her old ways of thinking. She's seen for herself how wrong her judgments were. She begins to realize that people can't be defined by what they look like, where they come from, or what others think of them. Her internal conflict grows. How could she have been so closed off, so unwilling to trust? But now the realization is clear. She wants to be different. She wants to grow beyond the biases that have shaped her life. She wants to stop making assumptions about people based on their outward appearances. I need to change. I can't keep thinking like this. I can't keep judging people before I even get to know them. For the first time in a long while, she feels hope, a small flicker of change in her heart. She knows it won't be easy. Breaking down the walls of prejudice and fear takes time. But she's ready. She understands now that the real growth comes from recognizing the mistakes we make and learning from them. She takes a deep breath, looking out the window. The city is quiet, peaceful. She knows that her journey toward change has just begun. Weeks have passed since that night. The girl is no longer just a bystander in her own life. She's taken action. She's made a conscious effort to change. It's not just a small shift, it's a whole new way of thinking. She's become more aware of her biases, more mindful of the way she sees others. And now she's beginning to put that growth into practice. One afternoon, while walking through the city, she spots a homeless man sitting on the sidewalk, his clothes ragged, his face weathered from the years on the streets. Normally, she would have walked right past, maybe even avoided eye contact out of discomfort. But today, things are different. The girl pauses, looking at him. The same rush of thoughts used to flood her mind, judgments, assumptions. But now, instead of turning away, she steps forward. She kneels down to his level, offering a warm, genuine smile. "Are you okay? Can I help with anything?" His face lights up as he meets her eyes, surprised by the kindness. No one ever asks him if he's okay. Most people just keep walking, crossing the street, avoiding him like he's invisible. As she talks to him, she doesn't see a homeless man. She sees a human being, someone with a story, a past, and perhaps dreams and hopes of his own. She offers him some money, but more importantly, she listens. She treats him with respect. It's a small gesture, but it's a step forward for her. It's her way of showing that kindness transcends appearances. Later that evening, the girl reflects on the moment. She realizes that she's not the same person she was weeks ago. She's grown, and in that growth, she's come to understand the true meaning of kindness. It's not about what someone looks like, or where they come from, or what others say about them. It's about how we choose to treat each other. The girl smiles to herself, feeling a sense of peace. She's learned that first impressions can be misleading. It's the heart of a person that matters, not their appearance. And she's determined to live by that lesson, showing kindness to everyone she meets, regardless of who they are or where they're from. The camera fades out on her walking down the street, confidently, with a newfound sense of purpose and compassion. The city around her is full of strangers, but now she sees them differently. As the scene fades, the audience is left with the hopeful message that kindness is what truly defines us. Appearances can be deceiving, and it's not about race, background, or status. Everyone has the potential for greatness and kindness within them. The girl's journey shows that change is possible when we are open to seeing beyond the surface and embracing the true essence of others. The girl's journey shows that change is possible when we are open to seeing beyond the surface and embracing the true essence of others.